watching this, it's because you feel lost in life. And I am here to tell you, I feel that exact same way. And for so long, I was searching through different tools, different philosophies, all kinds of things, different people's videos to figure out what direction to go in my life. But I can tell you something is that the more that you are searching and looking and trying to figure out your birth chart to figure out what you're supposed to do in this life and like what's your career and like what's your destiny and like why your soul came here, like what's your mission, the more that you are searching for on the outside, the more lost you will actually become because deep down, deep down, you actually know exactly what to do. You know exactly why you're here. You know your mission. You know what is the most aligned for your soul, but you just can't hear it because there's too much fog. It's almost like you're here, right? Like you're here, and there's like all this fog, and your like purpose or your like way to go in life is like right here, and there's just like this fog right in the middle. Okay? At least for me, that's almost what it felt like. I'm like, I know deep down, but I just can't put my finger on it. I just can't figure it out. And so this video is for you if you feel this exact same way, and I'm going to tell you exactly what I did to sort of get rid of this fog a little bit. And for me, honestly, you need to realize what is the fog for you. Okay, what's the fog for you? Because for some people, it could be like something like dissociated, like maybe like you feel like I don't know, something's not aligned, but someone else is telling you to do this, take this path, take this, do this, because this is what I want you to do, follow my footsteps. But you don't quite feel that to be true. Personally, for me, the fog was the pressure. I felt so much pressure from like society, from my parents to like figure out what I'm gonna do with my life. What's your career? Like, you gotta get a real job. And it was like all of these like limiting, projecting beliefs putting on me that I felt so much pressure that like I need to figure out what I'm gonna do with my life, right? And it's like those comments would come in like different ways. They would come in different stories. They would come from different people. And the pressure just accumulated to be like so much that I didn't know what my real purpose or my real dharma was anymore because I feel like I couldn't even like find it or like figure it out because I'm like, there's too much like projection, there's too much pressure. And that's what the fog was for me. It was like this heaviness, like this like all around me, in front of me, and on my shoulders. Honestly, that's where I felt it the most. And so, what I did was first, I acknowledged the way I felt. I acknowledged that, oh my God, I have been searching for my career, what direction to take in life through other people's paths and like trying to follow their path because I think that it will bring me success or I think I will get what they have or what they're like showing, like on Instagram or on YouTube, and how people are like, I made $25,000 in a month on YouTube. You should do YouTube, like those kind of videos, and then they tell you exactly how they did it. It's like I kept falling into different traps, kind of like that. Not necessarily that example, but like just was seeing other people's lives on Instagram and like trying to replicate how they got their success. And then it felt like I was always like following in someone's path, like I was like walking in their shadow, and I didn't even feel like I was on my own path. I was like always questioning and like, is this, am I doing the right thing? Like, I don't know. I don't know what to do. Da da da. But that uncertainty felt so uncomfortable of not knowing and then having all that pressure of people asking me what I'm going to do that I just kept grasping onto other people's directions and other people's lives and trying to like copy their goals and their success. And so, what I want to tell you here is that first you need to acknowledge what is actually going on. Like, that for me was my process. I realized that. And I kind of went through that loop like a couple of times because sometimes I would realize it, I'd fall back into it because the uncertainty felt uncomfortable, too much pressure, and I would attach to another person's life, try to copy their path and goals. And so, what helped me though, like let go of that pressure, is that honestly getting out in nature. Now I know some of us cannot get out in nature. Like for example, I live in the Midwest and it's like fucking cold and snowy and like I'm not gonna go on a forest walk when it's like 0 degrees. But I will say when I was in this process, I was able to go into nature and that honestly really helped me see things like clearly and kind of let go of that pressure. But you also need to understand your energy and other people's energy, because if you are feeling like a lot of pressure and there's like a lot of projections on you, you need to stop taking that on as your own energy, because that pressure is causing that fog. At least for me, it was causing the fog. So I needed to see, like, you know what, when this person is like projecting this onto me, I need to take a step back and be like, oh, that's your shit. That's not my shit to carry. That's not my burden. That's not my worry. That's not my anxiety to worry about or to feel or to hold on to. And so that really helped me. And you can do this one practice of sort of figuring out what is your energy and what's not your energy. There's this candle method I learned from this guy, Aaron Dougley, on YouTube. And it was like you put a candle in front of your face, like, I don't know, maybe like this distance away. And when you take a breath in, you breathe in, focus on the candle, and feel the space between you and the candle. And then when you exhale, you soften your gaze and feel the connection with you and the candle. And so when you start to get into this sort of meditation, you can start to visualize other people too. Like even when you're staring at the candle, you can start to imagine like that person that you feel like is projecting a lot of stuff onto you. You can start to imagine them and feel the space and then feel the connection. And then what this does is when you're around that person again, you're able to not take on their energy. You're able to sort of discern like that's your stuff and that's not my attachment. And honestly too, what honestly helps you like not hating on this person or feeling resentful for this process that's taking place is by realizing that this person is coming from love. They're kind of honestly concerned maybe about like what's going to happen in your future, or like what you're doing with your life or whatever, that it's coming from a place of love even if it doesn't seem like it. And I know sometimes that can like take time to like process and think about, but it honestly helps because it takes off like the heaviness of like you're trying to project your stuff onto me, you know what I mean, like that attitude, um versus just like, okay, I get where you're coming from, but at the same time, you don't have to say this out loud obviously, but at the same time it's like not my energy. And it's like you can totally reframe things to figure out what you actually want to do. And I love this one thing I saw on Instagram today. I think it was from this guy named Corey Mascara. I don't think I'm saying his last name right, but it starts with an M. And his post is like, instead of asking yourself, what am I going to do with the rest of my life? You can just ask yourself, what do I feel inspired to explore deeply at this moment? And what that does, it takes off the pressure of like needing to figure out your entire life right now. And instead, you can just honor and be with what is alive right now in the present moment and not be like attached to this career, not be attached to this direction or this passion. Instead, just noticing like, what do I actually want to explore? What do I want to learn about? What do I want to experience right now? And following that, because even if that isn't the thing that is like your entire career for years, usually there's a lot of like lessons in the things that we're inspired by too, that are, you know, helping our soul journey or soul evolution. And sometimes you need a lot of those skills through those different passions or inspirations that might not be your career at the end of your life, like your big time career, to get to that other thing. So it's like instead of like trying to mentally do all this and figure it all out and like what's gonna make me the most money, what's gonna make me the most successful, what's gonna make people proud of me, da da da. Instead, just figuring out like what do I want to explore, what do I feel inspired to do right now, and starting to follow that because in my opinion that's how our intuition or our soul speaks on like the purpose or the mission is through what is inspiring us. What do we want to give our energy to that feels right, that feels good in our body, and starting to explore that. So honestly, I hope this video helps. I'm trying to think if there was anything else that really helped me besides just honestly, if you can, taking some time away from specifically the people that are applying some pressure onto you, because that will also help you learn that a lot of these attachments that you have are not really yours. And like I said, this doesn't have to be a big trip by yourself or a big retreat. It could just be going on a little forest walk for a couple hours and just being in your own company, being in your own presence. And then you can realize, oh, that's not even my energy. That's not even a thing for me. Like, that didn't come from me. That's someone else's energy. And you don't have to carry it. You can set boundaries with people's like energetic sort of fields, I guess, if you will, by simply just noticing the projection, but not attaching yourself to it, not attaching your emotional self to it. And you can do that by one, the candle thing, two, isolating yourself, feeling out your own energy, right? Because a lot of people I feel like that have this sort of energy thing going on, this energy merging thing that they're not conscious of, that they're just absorbing all these people's energy, is because they don't know their own energy. They're not familiar with their own presence or their own energy, so they're just taking on everybody else's energy. Or they want to feel connected with the other person, or they need to feel them out, so they're connecting to their energy to know if they're safe. A lot of that stems from childhood, but I'm not going to go too much into that. I do want to say though, if you are feeling lost in life, this helped me a ton, is by accepting that I felt lost. Because for me, when I felt lost, I didn't want to accept it. I didn't want to be in the uncertainty. I didn't want to like know. I need to know. And I love something. I believe I saw in this girl's post about being in the uncertainty and finding comfort there is by reframing it into curiosity and like starting to explore that fate and starting to explore that space with curiosity rather than feeling like, oh, this is so uncertain, I don't know what's gonna happen, oh, I'm getting like tense and like resisting it and like needing to attach onto something. But rather, can you start to explore, because you have all the cards on the table, you can take any possibility that you want, and you will know which possibility that is, that direction that is, by first accepting that you're in the space, accepting that, you know what, I feel lost. And like, that's okay. It's okay to feel lost. And once you do, it's like you start to see like all these possibilities, right? Like all of these cards out in front of you. And now you're in this space where then you can choose what card that is by listening to, what do I feel inspired to do? What is calling me right now? Not what other people want me to do, not what other people think my calling is, or what's going to make me the most successful or the most money or the most highest status or whatever. But what is it that I actually want to invest my energy into? What do I feel inspired to do? And choosing that card. But like I said, you're only really able to hear your inner voice and like clear the fog and see what that thing is by realizing the fog isn't your fog, it's other people's fog. Because you've always known what that thing was, and it's always been clear until you let other people's voices and projections kind of like fill that space and kind of blind you to what that thing actually is, right? And one last thing I want to touch on about like purpose and like your mission, I guess, is that a lot of times for people that are multi-passionate, that's how I was. I'm a multi-passionate person, and I felt like, shoot, do I need to choose like one passion to be my career so that way my direction is clear, so that way I'm more understandable to people? No. What I realized when I feel like I discovered what one of my big purposes were, or my mission, is that it can it can usually fit into many facets of like different things. So like maybe you might have a mission, let's just say, um for example, like help humanity, right? That can be in so many different facets if you're multi-passionate. That could be making music. That could be making art. That could be putting carpet into people's houses. That could be going to, different third world countries and like helping the kids there, like stuff like that. Like that can show up in so many different facets, whatever the right word is for that. And I just want to mention that because I think before I was so lost too, because I felt like your purpose was assigned to like one role, or like one career, like one job. And that's why, like, too, when I was like very multi passionate, I am still multi passionate, that I felt like, oh my God, I have to choose one thing. Cause like, what one's my purpose? Which one's my real career? Right? But when I actually realized what it was more of like a statement. And that statement could flow into each of those different things. And the funny thing, I can guarantee once you realize what that thing is for you, that true soul mission, you're going to be like, I've already been doing this. I can guarantee it. Or you have in the past. Because like I said, you've always known, and you're probably already doing it without realizing it or acknowledging it. But once you do, I guess then you'll just know, and then you'll be like, okay, yeah. But I also want to say, like, stuff can be added or stuff can be altered because your soul is still having this evolution, right? And don't attach yourself to one statement or to one job, especially if that doesn't resonate. So I hope this video helped you, honestly, because I wish I saw a video like this, honestly. I felt so lost. I was always like searching for my purpose, thought I had to choose one role and that would be my purpose. And like, what's my true soul purpose? Is this an ego desire? Is this a soul desire? Ah. What do you want? What are you inspired to explore right now? Do that. And acknowledge, what is that fog for you? What are those stories from other people that is the fog, right? Oh, you should be this. Oh, you should do this. You should follow my footsteps. Oh, what are you going to do with your life? Those stories, acknowledge that they're not yours, but to tune in back to your energy, and then you'll be able to sense, okay, that's your shit, not my shit. Set your energetic boundary. You don't verbally have to say this. It's just more of an energetic thing, at least in my opinion. And then accept that you feel lost. Accept how you're feeling. You are feeling uncomfortable and unsafe in the uncertainty. Acknowledge it. And then can you reframe that feeling, if it is uncomfortable, to curiosity? Because it's almost like all the possibilities are right here. You're not attached to any possibility. You don't even know a possibility to take. So not all of the possibilities are open. Which one do you feel inspired to take? Which card do you feel inspired to take? And do that. And I can guarantee that when you can let go of the pressure, when the fog starts to dissipate, you'll understand what that thing is, what that clear purpose is, and you're gonna be like, oh my God, I've been doing this entire time. Or like this card I picked, this possibility I chose, or multiple possibilities are so aligned with that. I've always been so guided. Because you're always on your path, you're always on the right track. It's just about trusting the process and allowing it to unfold by trusting it. And yeah, so I hope this video found the right people and helped the right people today. And if this video resonated, comment a white heart underneath this video so I know that you watched the entire video. And yes, peace and love.